Hello and welcome back to The Letter. When we last left off, Luke and Hannah had gone on the house tour, and Hannah decided they were buying the house even after Isabella had her little fit. We say our goodbyes, shake hands, and make it clear without outright saying it that we now own this house. By the time we left the mansion grounds, sunset is almost upon us.
So, you really want to buy this place then? That's a bit of a big impulse buy, even coming from you. Not that I'm complaining.
Well, I'm glad you're not complaining like you usually do. It's a right and proper Christmas miracle, isn't it? Hannah has finally done something right.
I refuse to look at him, staring at the passing scenery instead.
Hey, Buttercup, what's with this cheek?
Rose, lily, mint. The nerve, Luke, the nerve!
Is that what this is about?
See?
One,
he gives
that woman's
every
name was
lady
Rose.
Flower or plant-based names.
And two, you know I don't mean a word of that empty flirting.
And it's still the principle of things, Luke. I understand if you try to woo them to get what you want when it seems that I'm not looking, but I told you once before not to do it when I'm there.
Luke dealt with other women in the past to get what he wanted. Sometimes I have my doubts. I really want to believe that I am an exception, that he's not just using me like how he used those other girls. I'm having a hard time believing that now. And it isn't just the shameless flirting. There's something about that Mary Ann woman, as if Luke is familiar with her. As much as it shames me, it makes jealousy rear its ugly head. I am, suffice to say, ticked off.
Really? I forfeit my trip to Cardiff for this, and you're still not happy.
Oh, trust me, Luke. I am very happy. Very happy that, for once, we are doing something that I want. Can you not see the smile on my face?
It's only when I let loose those words that the truth hits me like a slap on the face. And by the looks of it, it seems to have the same effect on my dear, darling husband. It has always been, Luke wants to do this, and Luke wants to do that, hasn't it? I don't even remember the last trip we went to, which was of my own choosing, without needing to get the man's approval. On the other hand, I was pulled along to every single expedition he wished to tackle, and I never objected. The rest of the ride home is spent ignoring each other, pretending the other didn't exist. Arriving at our penthouse, my first order of business is to get into bed. Forget a hot bath and forget the tea. I just want to bury myself in blankets and forget everything in my slumber. It seems that Luke has the same idea in mind as he tags along behind me. But this is something I will not allow the moment I pass through the door.
Out.
What the bloody hell, woman? This is my bedroom too!
Luke stands flabbergasted as I deny him entry into our chambers. His pillows lie on the cold tiled floors away from the warmth of our soft down bed, and my gaze promises him the same fate if he does not budge on this matter.
Don't even try to argue, because I am very cross with you, Luke Wright. You can take the second bedroom or the guest room if you wish, but I do not want to see you at all for the rest of the night.
Johans!
Our butler wanders over, a curious expression on his face. He doesn't quite hurry, moving at a relaxed pace no matter how angry his master sounded.
No, you are not allowed to sleep in my room, sir.
That's not what I mean! Help me talk some sense into her!
There is no sense in questioning her right to be angry, sir. So, if I might be excused, I'll go prepare the second bedroom for you.
I have to keep a straight face as he stomps away in defeat.
Mutiny! This is mutiny! The system is being upturned, and the people are rioting, and everything is left asunder.
He's such a drama queen. It isn't every day that Luke is rendered speechless by someone he considers inferior or to yield to another authority without an ulterior motive. His pride just won't allow it. I do keep telling the man to treat his people better. He may throw whatever fit he wants, but he will not be getting his way tonight. Victorious, I celebrate by jumping face first onto our bed. Undignified, yes, but nobody's here to judge me anyway. Right? Nobody's here to tell me what to do. Yet, as I succumb to sleep, I can hear them whisper to me. I can hear them whispering. Calling for me. They want me. Need me. They drown me, pull me down, and suffocate me in their embrace until I sink to the bottom. A deep abyss awaits, inviting yet foreboding. They're calling to me from in there, aren't they? I do want to help, I do. but when I try to reach out, something pulls me back like a hook sinking itself into my stomach. And I break through the surface with a gasp. Alone in bed and without Luke to hog the covers, I am swathed in cloth and slicked with sweat. It takes me a while to untangle myself and kick them all off. Both the bed and I are a right mess by the end of it all, but I am more than eager to just get up and go out for some fresh air. October 26th, Wednesday. The days past had gone by in a blur. We hadn't talked much, Luke and I, outside of necessity. In fact, we've hardly talked beyond the topic of acquisitions of properties. Properties being the mansion, obviously. Everything has been so busy that I haven't talked to anyone outside of business, and it's just so stressing. So one can understand my need for a good chat, preferably over a good meal. There are times when any decent, emotionally healthy, and socially capable person need a good friend. One who will talk to them without the conversation degrading or turning into an argument. Or barring a nearby friend, I have an interior designer under a confidentiality agreement to listen to me.
Up, higher, come on now!
The place is bustling with movers carrying furnishings here and there along with several trunks of personal belongings taken from our penthouse. I can hear Luke barking at them in the other room, making sure nothing is handled carelessly or gets stolen.
Careful now! I know your pictures are framed by cheap plastic, but those are framed by African blackwood and are one-of-a-kind commissioned paintings. Each one is easily worth a lifetime of what you lot make.
It is hard to tune him out. The walls did not do a good job of muffling him at all. But then again, it is Luke. I would still hear him ranting even if we were on opposite sides of the mansion and I'm wearing earplugs.
I'd really like to thank you for inviting me to breakfast, Mrs. Wright, but I already ate, so I should really go back to work.
Nonsense! You arrived so early, you must not have gotten a proper meal. Our butler has made a surprisingly lovely bubble and squeak.
Okay, I admit I had to look up what a bubble and squeak was. It's like, what the hell?
Sit.
So very British.
I'd situate us in the dining hall, but it is a mess right now. Oh, Johans!
The man in question appears, ready with a tray as he starts to set the table for us. We sit in silence as we are each served a plate. Bubble and Squeak, topped by a nicely poached egg with cherry tomatoes and other garnishes adorning the edges of the plate. A cup and saucer and a teapot with some Earl Grey is placed down for Mary Ann, and I ask for an orange Julius.
How are you liking the project?
Drop that vase and I'll have your head! I know it's only an 8 million yen vase, but I swear,
Well, it's certainly a fun challenge, incorporating the designs of a Jacobean manor and the functionality of a modern household. I have ideas I would like to suggest, by the way, about what to use the second bedroom for. I have been informed of your goddaughter and thought a kid-friendly room might be in order.
You read my mind. I was actually going to bring that up. Oh, that would just be so lovely, Marianne. That way, Kylie can bring her friends over as well. And a good friend of mine, Rochelle, is expecting a baby. So, why don't we think about putting a crib in there too? I can just imagine little ones running around, filling this place with the pitter-patter of their feet. We'd have to make sure they don't trip and fall on the stairs, though.
We won't be able to finish everything up until after the party, but we'll have it ready by then, so that all we need to do is to move in the furnishings.
Yes, that's plenty fine. It's not like we're in a hurry to have it. And we wouldn't want the workers to disturb the guests or the other way around, do we? Just make sure it's presentable. You know, in case a guest snoops about.
Of course. As for the kitchen you wanted, I've already negotiated for the high-end stoves and the hot and cold drawers, so on and so forth. I've got a friend who is able to customize them so that they'll look like the counters we'll be replacing and fit the rest of the interior. They'll be bringing them in today.
Why can't you people do anything right? Don't drag it. You'll scratch the wood.
Excellent. But no, really, how have you liked it so far?
Oh, it has been wonderful, believe me. Everything is going smoothly too. It has been a long time since I've worked on something on this grand a scale. Nowadays, everyone is about condos and flats, living in the city where every room is an identical box. Believe me, this is very refreshing.
We lived in a condo before this, Marianne.
I didn't mean any insult.
It's fine, sweetie. Look at you, all frazzled. I was just pulling your leg.
Yeah, fun fact, because you can, there's like a bajillion endings. One of them is you can actually get these two to hook up at the end. like they're like a little couple.
Luke wanted that penthouse when we got married, and you can thank him for purchasing this place as well.
She looks confused. Of course, she has every right to be. She, no doubt, overheard me push that estate agent into the sale, making quite the aggressive offer. She saw me sign the papers for the mansion as well. I just had to scoff.
Don't be fooled. I'm just the treasury. I wouldn't be able to make a purchase this grand without his seal of approval.
I see.
That's it. That's all you have to say.
Yes. It wouldn't be appropriate to comment further. It is unprofessional.
Unprofessional?
I can't help but let out a deep sigh as I stick a fork into the dish. I didn't want professional. I want someone who will either agree with me, even if it's just for the sake of agreeing, or someone who will try to talk some sense into me. Neutral responses are so boring. There's no discourse in the middle ground.
The food is good. Best bubble and Squeak.
Of course it is. Our kitchen staff only uses the freshest, hand-picked ingredients. Only the best for the Wrights.
Mr. Wright is not joining us?
No. He is far too busy bossing people around. He even refused to join me for breakfast earlier. Hence, this.
I see. My apologies. I really don't know what sort of response you expect to get from me.
There's a clatter of silverware as I slam my hands on the table. It is frustrating. I am frustrated. At Luke, mostly. But Marianne's neutral, professional answers are certainly irksome as well.
You're a human with feelings and opinions, aren't you? Don't give me this bollocks about being professional when we're having a nice, friendly chat over a nice and friendly breakfast. I can only talk about interior designs for so long, and I detest one-sided conversations, Marianne.
But I really don't know what to say, Mrs. Wright. We were talking of no topic in particular, and...
Luke. We were talking about Luke.
About him not eating breakfast with you?
About him treating me as if I were some treasury.
I didn't realize that I shouted that out loud until it's too late. There's a stunned silence that settled before I slumped back into my seat. Hiding my face behind my hands, I can feel my shoulders shake. Breathe, I told myself. Calm down. But it's just so hard.
Honestly, sometimes I feel like he doesn't love me anymore. Oh, have I been so blind? Did he ever love me at all? Was our marriage all for the sake of saving his company and his wealth?
Probably.
Because?
Because?
Did I say all that out loud? Again? No, this is bad. Unacceptable. It has been rumored before, the real reason for our engagement, but if anyone were to know of this... Marriages of necessity to carry on political and financial power used to be a common thing, but the Evans-Wright union is the perfect happily ever after. Was supposed to be. It is true that we first met each other in order to discuss dealings to make the then failing Wright Enterprise a subsidiary for Evans Incorporated. But I do remember being in love with him, and there were times when he said he loved me back, even if I'm not sure of what the truth is now. Either way, I do not want the Wright name or the Evans name dragged through the mud because of a slip-up. And if Marianne so much as talked of this... Marianne is a good sort, isn't she? So far, she's been reasonable and accommodating, even towards Luke's ridiculous requests. Patient and professional. Did it only extend to business? Or would she be able to understand that things like this are not as simple, not as clean, not as they are painted to be? Certainly I can talk to her. Ask for her...
I won't speak a word, Mrs. Wright. Not only am I contractually obliged to, it would also go against my principles. This is no one else's business but your own, and it should be kept between the two of you. And whoever you wish to seek counsel from.
Please, Marianne. You have to understand these sort of affairs. If anyone were to know this, they could just twist it and we'll be ruined. All I ask for is your silence on the matter.
If I am to be frank, Mrs. Wright, this isn't new for me. You aren't the first, and you certainly won't be the last to have complicated dealings. Unless what you're doing is illegal, I turn a blind eye.
Can I trust her?
If I wasn't in the same boat, I'd be trying to pry those secrets and gossip with you about them by now.
Well, I'm keeping that information confidential as well.
It's not like I have any other choice, do I?
Thank you.
We continue to eat our meal in peace, finishing the last of the food and drink. When the door to the parlor opened, Marianne and I are just sitting in silence.
Madam, the photographer from Luxury Living is here.
I give him nothing but a small nod.
This was a wonderful meal, Marianne. You're free to return to your duties. I must excuse myself.
It was my pleasure, and thank you for the food as well.
Making my way downstairs, I look back and see Marianne give me a nod and a small smile. That certainly put me in lighter spirits. An interview with Luxury Living. That is today, isn't it? Oh yes. People had caught wind of our new mansion the very moment we left the open house. Luke had boasted that he could acquire the property in no time and allowed a photo shoot for an interior design magazine to be scheduled today. Well, there were complications, and it took longer than it usually does for us. Hopefully, I won't have any other unfortunate slip-ups with someone who isn't bound by confidentiality. The mansion grounds has been one of the first things to be fixed up, aside from the bedroom. Although it's still a work in progress, it had a promising start, and I can already see the flower patches. Luke's favored daffodil stands out easily, having been transplanted from the pots that used to litter the rooftop of our penthouse. Why, if the moving crew thought that Luke was being hard on them, they clearly didn't see the landscaper on his way out. The man looked like he was ready to faint, and Luke seemed ready to kill him by the end of their discussion. It is in the gardens that I see him standing near the flowers in quiet admiration. I guess one of the things that is kind of, are you serious? It's just the sheer coincidence that even people outside, I guess a little Scooby gang, keep running into the other characters. It's like, seriously? He is hard to miss, the hulk of a man that clearly did not belong, and the big backpack and suitcase he has with him makes him look much larger. It is a peculiar sight, seeing someone who looks like he does handling little delicate things with such care. He looks up from the gardens and does a double take before a friendly face replaces his serene expression.
Miss Wright, yeah? Hi, Zachary Steele here from Luxury Living, ma'am. Hope you weren't waiting too long. But it looks like you're still moving in, huh? Thought for a second there my calendar was wrong and I came here too early.
The one and only. Welcome, welcome to Maison de Right. And yes, we've been in the process of moving in as we were delayed. But it won't be a problem. They're just adding a few things here and there, and you should still be able to do your work. Where's the rest of your crew then, Mr. Steele?
Zach is fine, please. Mr. Steele makes me feel like I'm a mascot for a cleaning product.
Mr. Steele, Mr. Steele.
Anyway, I'll be your one-man crew for today. Don't worry, been doing this gig for a while now.
You must be quite the veteran to handle this on your own. We've had a full crew coming into our penthouse the last time we were covered in your magazine.
Veteran? Oh, your words are too kind, Miss Wright.
Hannah, if I get to call you Zach, you have my permission to call me Hannah.
Alrighty then. Anyway, I'm no veteran, but I know my camera well enough to make sure this is a good shoot. You can trust me on that, Miss Wright. Hannah.
Zachary proves quickly enough that I can in fact trust him. His skills with the camera and experience in this industry, at the very least. He is kind and courteous, listening and following as I lead him around the house. A really nice fellow, and he treats our household staff well whenever we cross paths with them. I answer his questions to the best of my ability, and he is patient enough to answer mine whenever I get curious enough. For one, I ask what the bags are for. They are quite the magician's toolkit. From inside, he had procured several items to embellish the interior with. Bowls of fruit, lemons, trays with peppermills, stacks of cookbooks, cutting boards and glass canisters filled with colorful nuts and grains are brought in for a kitchen setting. For the bathroom, there are white towels, seashells, and decorative soaps. There are other things as well, too numerous to count, all in that large backpack and suitcase.
Tricks of the trade. Softens up a room, makes a place feel more homey, and fills it up with texture. But you guys probably have better stuff I can use for this.
No lights. Don't tell me all of these are just props.
Well, I've got my tripod here. For things like these, natural light is best. I'll just have to set the shutter speed to a real slow setting, and as long as nobody steps into the shot, it'll look great.
Oh, it better.
We go through the rooms one at a time, although we first tackle the ones that the movers have no business in anymore. The ballroom needs little preparation with its grand design. Although there is some trouble at first with the wide open space and the pictures being backlit. It is in the kitchen that Zachary's props come in handy, considering how Johann's kept the place so neat and sterile one could practically eat off the floor. We carry on touring the house and taking pictures where we can, with the exception to the rooms which have yet to gain any purpose or design. Too bad I can't take a sneak peek at his photos yet. Funnily enough, he's using a traditional camera. I didn't even know film still existed. With the way he speaks, however, I can see that he knows enough about his craft that I'm not too worried about botched photographs. I imagine photography must be cathartic for him, judging by how at ease he looks while taking pictures. There are small snippets of conversation in between the clicking of the camera. He even goes as far as to talk about these terminologies like shutter speeds and aperture when I ask about the technical aspects. I can't quite see the picture as it is made, much like when I watch artists paint on their canvas. But just watching someone passionately practicing their craft such as this is exciting in its own way. Going through the many rooms has been quite the exercise for the both of us. Despite that, he has been so nice, and I find myself putting on my best smile. But it is as we are taking pictures in the foyer that everything comes to a standstill for a moment. Just a moment. And have I not been paying attention, I wouldn't have even noticed. It is merely a split second when Zachary's rhythm is put to a halt. His finger doesn't move to release the shutter. Yet he also doesn't pull the camera away from his face, gaze still firmly fixed through the viewfinder. His hands shake and there's a light sheen of sweat on his forehead.
Zachary?
No response.
Zach, is something the matter?
Lowering his camera, he blinks and stares at something behind me before shaking his head. Turning around, though, I see nothing that could have gotten his attention.
Oh, no, there's nothing wrong. I just remembered something, that's all. Let's get back to the pictures. Can you move a bit more to the left, yeah?
I struggle to respond this time. There's a sudden weight on my back and an indescribable tightness around my throat. Everything stops. And everything starts again as I manage to choke out.
If you're sure.
I don't know what just happened. It was probably just a dizzy spell. I'm fine. He says he's fine. Certainly a ghost didn't just try to choke me out. We continue at the same pace as before, although there is an unspoken agreement that we will not talk about what happened.
So, is this a full-time job for you then?
Nah, I just freelance mostly, for magazines, newspapers, and events. So you can't really call it a full-time job. It's fun and it puts food on the table, but it's not what I really want to do. At least, not all the time.
What is it that you want to do then?
Maybe I've been out of line sticking my nose into other people's business, but I can't help but ask. I regret doing so as I see his shoulders slump and the easygoing air he has fades away. He looks torn over whether he wants to talk about it or not.
Films. Documentaries mostly. But cinematography is a lot more difficult than photography, right? I was working on this thing, actually.
What thing?
Well, it wasn't really a big thing. People didn't like Blue Fonzie very much.
People don't like a film about colors. I suppose they would have liked Blue Bibby a lot more.
Very funny.
So, Grand Director, do you want to tell me what Blue Fonzie is all about?
He hesitates. But when I refuse to budge on the matter, he gives in and spills it all out. Blue Fonzie, l'heure la plus sombre des Noirs Britanniques. Dark blue, the darkest hours of the Black British. He speaks with passion of one who has gone through the very matter he is concerned with. There is conviction, knowledge, and experience in his speech. Why, I would have told him that he is an amazing speaker if only I wasn't so engrossed listening. Prejudice and discrimination, in schools and in the workplace. Lesser chances for opportunity and higher chances of being treated like a criminal. He spoke of blacks and people of color in general still being treated like second-class citizens. All because of the color of their skin. It is all just positively riveting. And sad. It comes to a point wherein he soon loses steam. He looks abashed, realizing what he had just done.
Sorry, I just got so carried away and...
It's fine. It is really so fascinating to watch people talk about their passion after all. You should see how your eyes light up when you speak so fiercely. You do have very beautiful eyes.
Hannah can also hook up with Zach in one of the endings.
Uh-huh. Thanks, I guess.
I want to say that I understand where he's coming from, but I really don't, do I? I was born with a silver spoon in my mouth and I've lived a charmed life. It hasn't been perfect, but the difficulties I've been through pales in comparison to what others experience on a daily basis. I certainly don't know how I would have fared were it any different. Would I still have met Luke, and would he still have loved me if I was any lesser?
What was your home like? These things you talk about. It sounds like well, I don't mean to pry, I mean.
Live with my older sister and my grandparents. We had a shop selling all sorts of things below our flat. And well, I was one of the few non-white, non-British students in class. I didn't get pushed around or anything straight up. Even then, I was one of the biggest kids around, but a pencil and notebook would go missing, you know?
Oh, that I knew. Children can be so cruel at times. Of course, it may be a slightly different story when you're personal guards and the stolen item is not a pencil, but an expensive heirloom.
So what about you? How you liking your new house? It's pretty impressive.
It's nice, I suppose.
You suppose? Not big enough?
What? No, oh, don't be a bully. It's just that.
I understand if you don't want to talk about it.
I was a little girl all dolled up and treated like fragile porcelain with nursemaids waiting to me hand and foot. All the material possessions anyone could ever want I could ask for on a whim, and it would be handed to me just like that. But I barely saw my parents, just goodbye kisses in the morning before they went off to who knows where they were needed to next. I saw them more often on the telly or in the papers than I ever did in person.
I remember my old house. It was a lot like this one. Big walls and big halls, but nobody in it. Not really. It makes you think how alone you are.
A pensive mood overcomes us, and there's a moment where neither of us are sure of how to go on from there. Things have gotten a bit too personal, yet it isn't wholly uncomfortable, like as if we've been friends before.
Well, that's normal, ain't it? You just moved here. You'll make home out of it yet.
He certainly makes it easy to believe that. My childhood house is indeed a lot like this one, just as large and extravagant, and just as empty. I hope he's right.
So, Monsieur le Photographe, you've covered the one and only Ermengarde Mansion.
And I'm gonna wrap it up here, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.